On Christmas 2001, Australians received an unexpected and unwelcome gift, a fire that had a front of almost 2,000 kilometers, 1,400 miles, a distance equal to a plane flight from Atlanta to Denver or from Chicago to Miami. The above maps and images show the carbon dioxide matrix of droughts downwind from oil fields. The top right image shows one cloud pattern, which initially is over the western oil fields, which curves over the southern oil fields before traversing the most drought-stricken eastern parts of Australia. The plume of carbon dioxide is a desiccating vacuum sucking up water. A year later, Australia's drought was a gift that kept on giving. Bushfires ravaged its capital, Canberra, with a suburb blast that burned over 400 homes and killed several human beings. Apparently, the Australians who died did not listen to or learn from President Bush, who said of global warming, live with it. He didn't say die with it. Symbols of civil achievements were not spared, nor were causes of global dryness, the automobile. Sadly, the house of humanity is on fire, and the arsonists are in charge of fighting the fires. Ironically, these articles on Australia's broadcasting website on January 19, 2003 cover the causes and results of the drought-fueled bushfires. By increasing its oil field output, Australia is creating its own losses. As noted later, the time savings of a barrel of oil no longer exist, as the downstream and downwind problems cause greater time losses. Ask the Canberra homeowners, appropriately under the principles of carbon dioxide matrix of local warming and drying, Australia's petrol fields are not only the cause of its drought and torrents, but worsen the oscillation of El Nino as payback to the USA. The land of Waltzing Matilda has a dance with the dust storms and dry rivers with which America is well acquainted. George No. 41 Bush was a top oil man that developed the West Texas Permian oil fields that led to the 1950-1956 Dust Bowl in the United States. George No. 42.5 Bush has carried on Daddy's oil obsession as president of Booster, Harkin, Afghanistan, and Iraq, like a junkie addicted to self-destruction. Unbeknownst to the down-unders, who have an unwanted Big Barbie, they have it right when they call the conflagrations bushfires. The house of humanity is on fire, and the Bushes are in charge of fighting the bushfires. As Smokey Bear says, only you can prevent bushfire. How can it be that we are having record warming and drying with record flooding? Well, the water has to go somewhere. More than one person has said that the same water is coming down, only is not coming down where it used to come down, nor is it coming down as gradually as it once did. Torrential rains? How come? How come? With rising carbon dioxide concentrations in the downwind plumes from oil fields that burn off vast amounts of natural gas, water is soaked up into the plumes. This not only causes downwind drought, but eventual distant torrential rains. The carbon dioxide matrix torrential rains are like shaking a soda bottle. When the atmospheric currents have soaked up the maximum water, they are like a sponge waiting to be squeezed, or a capacitor waiting to be discharged, or a little kid that can't wait. Once the release is triggered, it all comes out very quickly. Mankind has pissed off Mother Nature. Is there a better way to look at what is in a barrel of oil than gallons and dollars? Yes, the time content. Each gallon of petrol represents time savings. If a gallon of gas takes you 60 miles in 1 hour, that would take you 12 hours to walk. The gallon of gas saved you 11 hours. But what if burning that gallon of gas killed you? You'd be better off. Unnecessarily burning oil is like drinking salt water rather than walking a little further to get fresh water. A timistic analysis of salt water is that it frees you from your thirst only to come roaring back, demanding more of your time as you focus on a rising consuming thirst. Oil-fed droughts are the saltwater solution to human problems. Mankind has passed the point in which the time savings of oil is greater than the time losses of oil. Each burned barrel of oil puts mankind further in debt to time-wasting problems, including terrorism, the new black. Beyond a certain level, all oil consumption is not suspect, but is a real price gouging of the future. The price of gas at the pump is a down payment on a long-term, high-interest loan that must be repaid by living. Factoring in the carbon dioxide matrix, El Nino takes on new meaning. El Nino has a differential impact based on the interaction with the carbon dioxide plumes. El Nino's traditional increased rainfall in the U.S. Northwest cannot cancel the rising carbon dioxide water sucking from increased oil production in western states and provinces. El Nino's own primary oscillations will become more extreme as the carbon dioxide plumes from East Indies and Australia introduce greater temperature changes under the plumes which are over the western equatorial Pacific. These are some of the images of widespread forest fires from around the world: U.S., China, Africa, South America. Others include Australia and Russia. The ominous worry about forest fires is that increased carbon dioxide stresses the biomass, making forests more readily susceptible to fire, which increases carbon dioxide. It's a vicious cycle. Many apologists for global warming have said that there is a silver lining, as increased carbon dioxide will increase plant growth. Research does not bear this out, even when the desiccating properties of carbon dioxide are cancelled. Why? The answer can be found in the proboscis of an alcoholic, and how carbon dioxide forms clusters of water too big for plant membrane to pass or absorb. While plant life suffers with rising temperatures and carbon dioxide, the same is not true for all plant life. Anyone who knows about beer brewing knows that only a few degrees rise in temperature causes yeast to reproduce that gives beer its fermentation and carbonation. Insurance companies have stopped writing mold policies because torrential rains have increased mold outbreaks that destroy whole houses. Worse now, viruses benefit from changing climates that benefit its carrier mosquitoes. Chronic wasting disease in deer, which will make the leap to humans like HIV, is springing up almost spontaneously in different areas. With global drying from the carbon dioxide matrix, water becomes a greater commodity of life. Wells are drying up worldwide. Rivers are drying up worldwide. Water wars have begun worldwide. The human blame for global warming and drying can be seen in these charts. About 1/3 of the human beings that have lived in the last 10,000 years are still alive. Each person contributes to the carbon dioxide matrix, with the people in the developed nations contributing the most. The number one human problem is too many humans, yet governments and religions keep encouraging populations to grow by tax support. The house of humanity is on fire, and the arsonists are in charge of putting out the fires. All of the actions by the Bushiters have been gassing upon a fire: Afghanistan, Iraq, SUV, ANWR, etc. Compassionate conservatives kill, and the international KKK worse than its American grassroots and heritage, the Ku Klux Klan. Compassionate conservatives, more babies and more oil, the two things killing humanity. Oil companies propose trading pollution credits as a way of reducing emissions. This is like the big plantation masters proposing to reform slavery by reducing their head count with the selling of some slaves to farmers without slaves. What does it mean when Christine Whitman, the oil company's rep at the EPA, says the following: "We know the cap-and-trade approach in clear skies works"? It sounds like the international slave pimps, de facto emission regulators. To wit, "I'll trade you 3 dirty whores for 1. Which of the following was the greatest tragedy of the 20th century? Jim Crow killed thousands and millions over many decades. Nazi concentration camp killed millions in a decade. Atomic blast killed hundreds of thousands in a few split seconds. Pol Pot's killing fields killed millions in a few years. None of the above. The greatest tragedy of the 20th century was the oil field. Oil fields will kill billions in the next decade.